Hey guys, Attorney Brittany LaBerry here, and we're going to do a legal analysis today on a police-involved shooting. And we're also going to jump into tips if you are an AOR member or if you're not, of how to stay safe if you do have police interaction or if you do need to call 911 because you are a victim of a crime. So first, we're going to start off by watching the video. This did happen in California. Viewers, be aware that there is a police-involved shooting, so you will see that in this video. We're going to break it down, talk about the legal analysis, and then what she could have done differently to keep herself safe, because unfortunately, she did lose her life in this situation. So let's watch the video.
Yes, hello. I need the police here. This man, he won't get out of my house now. And I already told him to get out of my house.
Man, okay, stop yelling. Stop yelling. So who is he to you?
His name is... He will not leave me alone.
Ma'am, my question is, who is he to you?
Huh?
My question is, who is he to you?
Well, that's up.
Hello?
Off of me! Get your ass the fuck off of me, man! He's touching me!
Hello? Hello?
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I need the police here right now. No, because he won't get his hands off of me, and I already told him 1,000 times.
Ma'am,
Get his
okay,
hands off me.
ma'am, walk away so I can talk to you.
Carry on. Yeah. Can you see anything over there, Shelton?
They're in the back room if they're not answering.
Oh, let's put it.
Yep. Hold on.
Hey, come out.
Yeah, I'm going to stab him because he
Hey,
just...
get the knife,
He pushed me!
Now, Miss Finlayson did call 911 earlier that evening, as you did hear us play that, and it was a high-stress situation. Sounds like she could have been even having her breath impeded at some point. There is definitely sounds of a struggle. It sounds like she was the victim of a domestic violence dispute when she was on the phone with 911. As a victim of a crime, you absolutely should call 911 if you can. She did do that in this case. Officers did arrive. They knew what they were going into, right? A high-stress domestic violence situation. Because of that, they heard screaming when they did arrive at the scene. And some people might stop here and say, whoa, police cannot enter her house. Now, there is a bright line rule or black letter law that says an officer cannot go into somebody's house without a warrant. But there are plenty of exceptions. One of those being exigent circumstances. If they believe that somebody is being hurt or a crime is being committed, they can absolutely break down that door to get in. Now, they didn't break down the door. They were trying to. And then she said, hold on, I got you, because she called them, right? She wanted police there. Once the officers then got into the house, immediately what you see is, I'll put that still frame too, is she answers the door and opens up the door to the officers with an 8-inch blade kitchen knife in her hand. So when I'm on the phone in an emergency call, one of my first questions to our clients are you somewhere where we can speak privately? Are you in danger? Is anybody else around you? And where is the weapon if there was one involved? Now, one of the things that I always tell clients and that we always tell members in general, and also frankly the public, is put the firearm away, put the knife away, lock it up, put it out of sight, whatever you have to do to make sure that you do not look like a threat. So this is what not to do, right? She opened up the door to the police with the knife in her hand. All of a sudden, the police are like, are you the victim? Are you the aggressor? What's going on? High tense situation. As she opens up the door, she tells police, I'm about to stab him, right? That's imminency. I'm about to, right? So immediately, officers, like I said before, they can go in because they thought that a crime was being committed. They're in the house. Now, what happened was police were obviously worried, right? That's imminent. She said, I am going to stab him, right? I'm going to kill him. She said it's going to happen right now, and she told police what her mindset was or what her mens rea was. That's super important as well. Now, after she says, I'm about to stab him, she leaves the officer's sight. And so they can only imagine that she's going to the individual who she said, I'm about to stab. So as the police go, the second officer, Officer Shelton, asks for the other officer's taser, right? So you saw that he was thinking non-lethal force, maybe I can use a taser. In this situation, the officer thought about it clearly because he did ask for it, but we never know with tasers, right? That's non-lethal force. Most people say that's better than lethal force in certain situations, but they don't always work. You can see countless videos of them not working. Maybe they grab onto your clothes, or maybe because the officer was so far back that it wouldn't even reach her. We don't know in that situation, but he thought about using non-lethal force. At that point, there were no officer shots until she grabbed the man's arm, had a knife in her hand, looking like she was about to stab him, and then the other guy cowering, scared. Now, at that point, that's when the officer shoots. Now, the only thing in this legal analysis that we have to look at is when the officer used deadly force, was it reasonable to think that he needed to use that in order to protect a third party from serious physical injury or death? That's the only thing that we are focusing on. Now, some of the articles or some commentary that we've seen have focused on that he has been in a fatal shooting before. That is not relevant to this legal analysis. The only thing in this video that will show us if this is a good shoot or a bad shoot is what the officer thought at that time and if it was reasonable. In this case, it absolutely is unfortunately reasonable that the officer did use deadly physical force in this situation because a reasonable person or a reasonable officer would think it was necessary to save that man. Now, at this time in this still frame, you can see that he looks like this man is trying to say, hey, stop. Officer has the firearm. She's in a fighting position with the knife still in her dominant hand, or what we can assume would be her dominant hand. Officers have not had any shots yet until she's over him holding his arm, and she has that knife in her hand looking like she's about to stab him. Now, again, 30 seconds before or less, she said, I'm about to stab him. So this definitely goes with that statement, right? That solidifies her statement. At that point is when officers shoot. Now, again, I'm going to say it again. The only part of this video that we are analyzing is whether or not it's a good shoot or a bad shoot. Now, this is a good shoot because at the time, the officer reasonably believed with her prior statements of I'm about to stab him and her actions after the fact of grabbing his arm with the knife in her hand, looking like she's going to stab him with the victim then cowering, does look like he needed to use that force in order to save him. Now, some people say, hey, he could have used non-lethal force, right? He could have waited a bit longer to see if, she was actually going to. Now, that is true. He could have done that, right? I'm not here to say whether or not this was the best decision or a bad decision to use deadly force. I'm just here to analyze of whether this is a good shoot or a bad shoot. I'm not saying that he should have used a firearm or if he shouldn't have used a firearm and used a taser instead. That's not the position I'm taking. I'm only talking about the legal analysis, and this looks like a good shoot to me. Now, a lot of people have been commenting that this was a bad shoot or because the officer was in a prior fatal shoot with a domestic violence situation, that he has a propensity to be in these situations and use too much force. Now, again, that's not part of this legal analysis, but the family has actually started a civil suit, a civil rights suit against this officer and the department. So that can be relevant in that, right? So if the department hired somebody that has a, propensity for using deadly physical force when maybe they didn't or something like that, is definitely relevant in the civil side of things. Not on the criminal analysis, though. So let's talk about that civil rights claim. Finlayson's family has hired a civil rights attorney for this unfortunate situation. They have at least stated in their initial complaint that they are requesting $30 million. Now, we'll have to see how that ends up. But I will say that it looks like they probably jumped the gun in filing the civil rights lawsuit only because there was a misstatement that her attorney actually wrote in that complaint. And I want to bring that to your attention. Now, we talk about criminal and civil a lot, and we usually tell clients, let's wait on the civil side of things until the criminal gets figured out, until evidence comes out, the body-worn camera, because that solidifies our claim and makes us look reasonable, right? Now, in this case, the attorney definitely seems like he jumped the gun gun a little bit. I don't think it's her family's fault, only because they thought that they hired a competent civil rights attorney. But there was statements in there that are going to have to be amended, and unfortunately, it makes her family look bad. Makes them look like they don't know what they were talking about after this body-worn camera comes in. So I'm going to read you what that complaint says so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The claim filed on behalf of the family said Finlayson had called for help because her former boyfriend was strangling her and had hurt her younger daughter. Finlayson was sitting on the ground, not threatening anyone, when deputies opened fire on her from behind a glass door, shooting her in the back 4 times. Now, that's what the complaint says. Now, as you see from the video, that's definitely not what happened. Because of that, they're going to have to definitely amend this and fix those statements. Now, some misinformation has been circulating, so it's important, right, to take everything with a grain of salt until you see the video. This is a prime example. So attorney's definitely going to have to fix that statement. It looks bad on the family, unfortunately, because it misrepresented what actually happened. So we'll have to wait to see what happens in this case. But again, it's just a terrible situation because she did lose her life. It's unfortunate, and that didn't have to happen in this case. So now let's kind of talk about what to do to prevent this from happening to you or a loved one, or how to protect yourself. So from the 911 call, very sad, very disturbing, because it sounds like she's definitely the victim of domestic violence. Domestic violence is common, unfortunately, right? Tensions rise, especially with loved ones, but doesn't mean that you can't protect yourself. Now, if you are ever in this situation, I'm not going to say whether or not she should have or should not have pulled out a knife in that situation before cops arrived. I don't know what happened. I can't say, or I can't speak to that, whether that was reasonable. But obviously, as you know, you need to use reasonable force in any self-defense incident. And what she could have done is ran out of the apartment, right? I know it sounds like he was somewhat on top of her, because she did say in that 911 call, he won't stop touching me, he won't get off of me. So maybe she was unable to run away, but she could have, right? She could have put the knife down before she answered the door. From that point, it looks like she answers the door and the initial aggressor was off to the side. So it didn't look like she needed it in that moment. So if you're watching this, take this super seriously. Is do not answer the door with a deadly weapon in your hand, even if you just had to use it, right? Don't look like a threat to officers, especially because it looks like, at least from the video, she did not have to have it in her hand at that moment, because that aggressor, the initial aggressor, was not by her at that time. At least from the video, that's what it looks like. Another thing is that she reinitiated contact, right? If you see in that video, when she answered the door, it does not look like the man was anywhere near her. It looks like she walks to him, right? She re-engages something. She's the aggressor in that situation. She did not have to do that, but she did. Now, it is unfortunate, because she clearly, on the 911 call, I believe, was the victim in this case. She called 911 to help her because she was the victim, and she ended up losing her life in this situation, and her poor daughter had to witness it. Don't let this be you. Right? Be smart, be vigilant, use reasonable force, but be smart when you're interacting with police and calling 911. If you are the victim, use reasonable force in self-defense, answer the door in a way that protects you and does not allow you to look like the aggressor. Don't reinitiate anything, and don't be an aggressor, right? Another thing is, if you do have to use self-defense, even if it's just ordinary physical force, don't re-engage if the aggressor walks away, right? That's super important as well. All of these things really could have saved her life. These are important things to keep in mind to protect you and your loved ones. Deputy Shelton was relieved of his duties in relation to this case. Now, the civil case, like I said, is ongoing. It did just begin, so we will keep you updated with any updates as we see them, and maybe we can get Attorney Pierre in here to talk about the civil rights lawsuit. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys learned something today. As always, if you enjoyed this, like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend. If you are interested in learning more about our law firm, you can visit attorneysforfreedom.com. And if you are interested in our program, Attorneys on Retainer, you can find out all the information and get in touch with us at attorneysonretainer.us. This has been Attorney Brittany LaBerry signing out. Peace.